What do you want to be remembered for? You've probably heard the question, if you pass away, what are they going to put on your tombstone? Um, and so people start thinking about that. You're like, oh, I want to accomplish this and I want to be effective here. Maybe you want to be a political leader. Maybe you want to be impactful in your society on a smaller scale, on a bigger scale, leaders of men, what have you. How do you want to be impactful? Man's life is very, very short. It's like a fleeting vapor, just goes away like that. Nobody has assurance of life for the next day. The rich and the poor have that in common. Nobody has a surety of life for the next day. Accidents are no respecters of person, and calamities happen to the great and small alike. And so my question for you is, what are you working towards that you'll be remembered for at the end of the day? It's a very common question. I want to take a slightly different angle on that kind of timeless question. My question for you is, how long do you want to be remembered for? Say you become president of the United States, or some very influential political person, or CEO of some great company, and you are incredibly impactful. How long after you pass away do you want to be remembered for? Here's a question for you. Do you know the name of your great-great-grandfather? I do not. I have no idea what my great-great-grandfather's name is, nor do I know what he accomplished during his lifetime. And so with that in mind, I want to take a quick look at Ecclesiastes 1, verse 11. And Ecclesiastes says, "There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow." So even if you're incredibly impactful, Solomon wrote this, and Solomon was incredibly wise, and he says that there's no remembrance of men of old. I can't remember my great-great-grandfather. And so I ask you, how long do you want to be remembered for? 1 generation, 2 generations? How long is long enough? 5 generations, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. If I were a betting man, I would say I can almost, actually, I don't probably have to bet, I can guarantee you at some point your name will be forgotten. And so with that in mind, how should we go about approaching our day-to-day life if at some point time will forget us? So I want to take a look over at Matthew 6:19, 21 through 21. It says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So how are you storing up treasures for yourself in heaven? How are you lifting people around you up in this very short time that we have here on the earth? If I'm not going to be remembered by men and my life is so short, then maybe a third question of rather, what do you want to be remembered for, or how long do you want to be remembered for? A third question would be, who do you want to remember you? Personally, I want to be remembered by the Lord. If the Lord is eternal, then that's like the one person that I feel like it's worthwhile to be remembered by. So I encourage you today, think, how are you storing up treasures in heaven? And moreover, do you know the person who can remember you for eternity? That's all I have for you today. Think about it, and make sure you know the one that will always remember you.